and when it comes, it comes.
Right.
So,
And how long does it take for a song to germinate with you?
It all sort of depends, but usually it takes me maybe a night, 2 nights. I don't know, do it quick.
I thought you were going to say a month, 2 months.
No, I love doing sort of different things at the one time. So having this song, then putting it away, doing that song, going back to that song, and I sort of wrap it up in maybe 2-3 days. So yeah, no, it's
you're doing really well.
Thank you.
And you're a performing songwriter?
Yes, I am. I started singing when I was 8 years old, and singing's been a really big part of my life. At 10 years old, I started writing my first song when I actually lost a really close family member. And being 10, it's sort of just hard to understand like why they're not there anymore. So I thought, yep, let's write it down on paper. So I wrote my first song, Goodbye, which I haven't let that out yet because it's sort of close to my heart and stuff like that. But that's what I did. I wrote it down on paper. I said, Mum, I've written a song, and she's like, oh, that's great. So yeah, that's how it sort of came to be. And yeah, I love performing my own songs, putting the emotion that I can into it.
So do you perform live at venues, for example?
Yeah, I do. So at the moment, last year I recorded my album. So that was sort of a stop of performing over that time. But yeah, I get into at Musicland and all those sort of venues and just perform as much as I can. But yeah, I'm a singing teacher as well. So
oh, are you?
Yeah, I teach singing with actually Susie Ahern at her school, and I teach all different places. But yeah, no, I love it, and it's just something I love.
So would you like to move on to those TV talent shows that they have?
Yeah, that's an option. I haven't at the moment, but yeah, no, that could be a really good option.
Which one would you go for?
That's a tricky question. I always love The Voice, only purely because it's based on the voice, rather than image and stuff like that, which I think is a great aspect to have in a show, because I believe it's all about the voice anyway. So
right.
Yeah, so The Voice would be the main one, but other than that, anyone's great.
All right. So you're songwriting, you're performing. Where are you hoping it all takes you at the end of the day?
At the moment, I'm just riding the wave and seeing where it comes. But from a little girl, my dream has to be known worldwide, really. But just ride it as it comes and surf the wave and see where it comes.
So would you, for example, write songs for major artists to perform?
I would do that. I love songwriting. Just anything that comes to me, really. Songwriting for someone else or singing in front of millions would be amazing. It would be my all-time favourite dream. But
well, set your sights high. That's
set them high, and if it comes lower, that's fine.
That's great. Well, thanks very much, Kayla, and we look forward to having listened to your song tonight, your performance.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Kayla Borg. The 2015 winner of the folk acoustic category is Julia Michaels and Sven Tideman, with a song called Love My Ghost. Welcome, Julia.
Hi, thank you.
Very interesting title, Love My Ghost. What's that all about?
Well, it started as an idea for a scene in a film. We got a brief for someone who was looking for a song to feature in a particular scene where two characters were having a toxic relationship. And so I had this melody lurking, and some lyrical ideas, and so Sven and I just kind of sat down and it evolved into this really haunting melody, and the word ghost just kept popping up, and it just kind of fell out by accident, and this wonderful idea came out.
Right. And what's the story behind it all?
Well, like I said, we got a brief for a scene, but when you get things like that, you also try and relate them back into personal experiences and identify with them. So to me, I was kind of just relating it to a relationship that you just can't seem to break away from, and this repetitive pattern of I keep coming back, you keep coming back, and this haunting feeling of why do I do this? So that's kind of the feeling or the sentiment behind it.
Right.
Yeah.
So was it a joint collaboration? Did you write the lyrics by yourself, or?
Yeah, it was joint. Yeah, Sven and I were in a room together, and we had all of 2 hours, and we were pressed for time. And I came with this melodic idea and a chord progression, and hummed through this melody that I was thinking. And as I was doing that, Sven was just writing. And I looked over, and everything that he said he had written just seemed to flow with this melody that was coming through my head. And
Right.
honestly, within an hour and a half, it was just done. We raced over to his studio, recorded it, and there you go.
An hour and a half. That's the record.
It might be a musician's exaggeration, but it was a short time, a really short time.
A week and a half, a month and a half is.
No, it was a day.
Really?
It was honestly done in an afternoon.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you recorded it at Sven's Studios.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kitty.
With you as the vocalist.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And what other songs have you written beside this one? Are you a regular songwriter? Do you write
Yeah.
every day?
Yeah, well, I try to. There's the inspiration part and the discipline part. So, I try to write whenever inspiration hits, no matter how inconvenient it is, and just pull my phone out and sing. But then I have like set times where I go, okay, we're writing today, and if all you get is one idea, then that's fine. But I write quite a bit. I've got 2 EPs, and they just, every time I write, it just seems to change shape every time, depending on who I'm into at the time being, what influences are influencing you. But yeah, just trying to ride the wave of inspiration for as long as it takes.
Right.
Yeah.
And what genres do you prefer to write into?
It's hard to say. I feel like with the way that the current music environment is, genres they're blurring constantly, and so every time you have to classify yourself, it's really hard to say where you fit. And I just, the only thing that I keep thinking about my music is haunting.
Right.
And it's not a genre yet. But yeah, just I think a sense of, I just try to write emotional truth that leaves a lasting impression, and whatever way that tends to shape out. If it's a pop song, it's a pop song. If it's a alternative song, it's an alternative song.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're a performing songwriter. Whereabouts do you perform?
Well, I've got a couple of residencies, so I'm performing at Soul Central in DY all through December and January, and I play at the Swiss Hotel, and we do just basically try to get around as much as you can in Sydney, and hope that people like what you're doing and want to come back and listen to it again. Yeah.
And are these solo gigs, or you've got a band with you?
So they're both. So I do a duo acoustic act, and then I also play with a band with some really awesome musicians that I've been playing with for a long time. So the gel and the vibe is just really special.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time, actually, so they're the players that will record on the album as well.
Yep.
So they're a part of the music making process, and it's really magical when we play, because you feel like these people have embarked on the songwriting journey with you. So they shape the songs.
Right. And songwriting and performance, where are you hoping that they're going to take you? Where does your journey go, Julia?
I don't know. I think ultimately I just want people to experience something when they listen to the music, and if that's 5 people who download it on iTunes, then that's fantastic. And if it's, a couple of 100,000 that downloaded the music and listened to it and were impacted, that's great too. I don't know that I have any grand expectations. I think because the music industry is changing so often, it's hard to gauge what you want to do and where you want to go and what you want it to look like, because you just never know. But I think ultimately, if people are being affected and having a real emotional moment, that's plenty. That's
Right.
plenty satisfaction.
But it would be nice to make a living out of it.
Yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice, but it's just hard to tell how you do that,
Yeah.
And how do I do that?
There's millions of people out there wondering the same thing.
Yeah.
So,
If anybody's got any tricks, I'm
yeah.
all ears.
Let us know at the
Yeah,
ASA, please.
totally.
Okay, thanks very much, Julie.
Thanks so much.
Julie Michaels. We'd like to welcome Johnny Young to the National Songwriting Awards. Johnny will be inducted tonight into the Australian Songwriters Hall of Fame. Welcome, Johnny.
Thank you, Alan. It's great to be here, everyone. Beautiful.
Okay.
Very special.
Personal question, how do you feel? Tina Arena was inducted into the ARIA Hall of Fame only a few days ago. Looking back, how do you feel about her induction?
Well, wonderful. She's just a remarkable talent, and I've known her since she was 9 years old,
Yes,
so she's grown up in front of my eyes. But she always had, something special. You can see it, you're not, well, you can't learn it. It's got to come from your natural gifts, and she's just naturally gifted. And I was so proud of her. Wonderful speech too. It went on forever,
yes.
but it was she was making some points. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was great. So did you see that potential in her when she was very young on your
I think
show?
so. Look, that was my job, to see what I could find amongst the young people in Australia. And she came in for an audition, and she was wearing a Hiawatha costume with a feather in her hair, looking, very ABBA actually, the outfit in many ways. And we thought, oh, well, this is fun. And then she started to sing, and she just had that remarkable voice. Even when she was a kid, she had a really strong voice, and she could, pitch perfectly. She was just remarkable.
Yeah, she performed well on the night. Did you watch the ARIA?
Yeah, of course I did. Well, they invited me to go, but I get too nervous at those things, I'm a bit shy, really, which you may not believe, but I am.
You're right. Yeah. So how do you feel? You've won personally. You've won many awards during your career. How do you feel about winning one for your songwriting now?
Well, look, it's an honour. Songwriting was just in a very short period for me because, I was a pop star in the 60s, and I used other people's songs. My first hit, Step Back, was written by George Young and Stevie Wright. And that was a big success for me, and I had several gold records as a pop star. And then I went to England, and Barry Gibb and his wife Maureen invited me to stay at their place, and I've hung around music and songwriting, because Barry never had a guitar out of his hand. He was always writing stuff. And I asked him one day, what's the secret to songwriting? And he said, well, there are no rules. That's the secret. There are no rules. You don't have to use the basic structure of verse, chorus, and middle eight. You can, for instance, Roy Orbison's song "Running Scared." It doesn't get to a chorus; it just builds and builds. So that's what I learned from him. And of course, out of that bit of advice came the real thing, which has very little form at all, really. Just lots of mouth.
So you wrote that, and that's probably one of your most famous songs. How did you feel when Russell Morris picked that up?
Well, when I came back from England, I'd started to write a few songs for myself. I released a song called "It's a Sunny Day," which was the first song that I recorded that I'd written, and I sang it myself. And then, a few people heard some of the songs that I'd written, especially Molly Meldrum, and he asked me would I write a song for Russell. So I wrote "The Girl That I Love," which was Russell's second hit record. And then one day out at Channel 10, I was having fun with the boys in my band, because we'd been playing with this song that I'd written called "The Real Thing," which when I wrote it, it went for 20 minutes. It just went on and on and on. And we were trying to remember what we'd done the night before, and we were sitting in the dressing room, and I was doing this, come and see the real thing, and Molly came over and said, "That's the song that I want. That's the song we're looking for." So he went in the studio, spent a lot of money, and turned it into a mammoth hit, which was sort of, where I started to get recognised as a songwriter. And then Ronnie Burns came to me and asked me to write a song about the Vietnam War, so I wrote "Smiley," and that was a gold record and a number one. And then Russell recorded "The Girl That I Love" for the B-side of "The Real Thing Part 3 Into Paper Walls," which was another Molly Meldrum 7-minute extravaganza. And the radio station said, we're real thinged out, let's turn it over. And they turned it over, and the kids loved it. And it went straight to number one and was another gold record. Then I've always been interested in boxing. So I went to some fights that Lionel Rose, the Australian champion boxer, was fighting in, and I got to know him, and then discovered that he was a lover of country music. Yeah. So I said, oh, he ought to have fun and make a record, because he knew the Hawking Brothers. Do you remember the Hawking Brothers?
Yes, we were talking about them earlier.
Yeah, they had a big hit called One Day at a Time, which was a big hit across Australia. So I got the Hawking Brothers into the studio, and we recorded I Thank You for Lionel Rose, which was a double gold record. So that was the third one in a row. And then what was the next song after that? Oh yeah, Ross Wiley. Rusty Wiley was hosting Uptight on television. And he'd had a hit with a song called Funny Man, which was a pretty big hit across Australia, and he said, oh yeah, I need a follow-up, why don't you write me a song? And I was going through a breakup of a relationship at the time, so I wrote this song, look at me now, I'm the loneliest guy in the world. And it was a bit of a morbid song, but it turned out to be one of my favourite songs that I've ever written, and still gets played a lot on the radio. It was wonderful, and that was a gold record as well.
Oh, there you go. So
I had 5 songs in a row that were #1 hit records and gold records, and that was between 1969 and 1971. And then in 1971, Young Talent Time started. So my career completely turned around from being a pop star and a songwriter into hosting a children's television program. So, I stopped writing and started concentrating on Young Talent Time, and that went on for nearly 20 years, So the songwriting period of my life was short, but very, very successful. Of course, I kept writing, because I used to write songs for Young Talent Time. If we had an opening theme that we wanted to do and we didn't have the appropriate song, I'd just write it, because I'm a quick writer, So I've written, and I've continued to write over the years, but it's something I enjoy. But I wouldn't say that I'm a professional songwriter full time. I'm just an entertainer.
You've done pretty well. But
thank you.
What would you say? What would you say to young up and coming songwriters who are going to watch this video in terms of writing and moving on with their careers in songwriting?
Look, I can only repeat what Barry Gibb taught me. There are no rules. Express your own expression. If you're really good with lyrics, I think it's good to find the poetry in your songs. But some songs are, one of the biggest hits by Billy Thorpe was Mashed Potato Yeah, which had 3, so commercial, it had 3 words in it. Mashed Potato Yeah. So, there are no rules for successful songs. But, because some songs, especially these days, there's some wonderful songs from some of the songwriters that just have beautiful storytelling, and I love that kind of song too. But I'm a populist. I like to think that, if you're a songwriter, I would encourage you to think as commercially as you can. You can't become self-indulgent and just, continually write about your heart being broken and all that sort of stuff. It's good to write songs that people are going to be able to listen to, because otherwise it's self-indulgent. So avoid the self-indulgence, guys, and think commercially. I think that's important if you want to make a living out of songwriting. I mean, I know some people, my daughters, for instance, they write lovely poetry and lovely songs. And my daughter's actually recorded an album of her songs, and she's a wonderful songwriter. But she's a mother and she has 4 children, so she has no ambition to be a songwriter. She just enjoyed doing it, and I think if you can find the joy in it, I think that's a good thing, and I always have. It's just fun.
Great advice. I know you have to rush off, Johnny, but thanks for having a chat with us. Very, very, very much appreciated.
And can I encourage all the songwriters, do your thing, do your own thing, make your own expression. That's the most important part.
Great.
And thank you for the award. It's very much appreciated.
Our pleasure. That was Johnny Young.